Rival Sports Pod, covering the New York sports scene and behind the scenes, including the Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, New York Mets, and everything else in New York sports worth your precious time. And now here's Joe Pastor and Glenn Ferretti.
Everybody, and welcome to another edition of Rival Sports Pod. I'm Joe here with Glenn, and Santa came a little early for the Buffalo Bills this week. I can't remember a win lately where it just seemed so many things went right. You know, I didn't feel like they were outcoached. You're winning the turnover battle. The majority of the calls are not going against you. You did have some drops and some other things in there, but that's always going to happen. It just felt like different from a lot of the other games we've seen, which is significant also because, you're playing an opponent with a good record.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say just from an outsider perspective, I mean, they beat the living crap out of Dak Prescott. You could see that, they had the idea of we're coming in and we're going to set the tone early. But yeah, that guy was taking some shots. I think they picked up a couple penalties throughout the way, but they didn't mind. I think that was part of the plan, was like we're going to be super aggressive with this offense and really set the tone. You know me, I love hating on the Bills, but it's tough to hate after that performance in that game.
Yeah, the roughing calls evened out. The Bills got the one on Allen, which was, little ticky-tack call. We'll talk about that. And then there was the roughing the kicker. And then the Dallas got the little – it was either Rapp flying over Prescott because he was either A, trying to avoid him and launched himself over him as he slid and just barely caught his face mask, or he was trying to frickin' smash him and Prescott just got underneath. And then Terrell Dodson, the one on him, he did light him up. That was a deserved penalty.
Yeah, that one worked out, though, for the Bills because obviously Zach Martin or whatever came over and knocked Rapp over, too. So really, you got to do a free shot on him, I guess, anyway. So it didn't really matter because Prescott had picked up the first down. But anytime you hit him in the face mask, you expect it to be called. But I guess if you're going to get that penalty, you probably want to lay the lumber a little harder if you're going to take it. But it was pretty clear that he was sliding.
Yeah, for sure. But on these calls, that's one thing we talk a lot about, are these roughing the passer calls where you, quote unquote, can't touch the quarterback. Allen's gaining a reputation for flopping. But I'm all for it. After looking, not just Allen flopping, just don't touch the quarterback. Like looking at the matchups this week of all the backup quarterbacks that are in there, and that's with the rules that we have. Like, could you imagine what the quarterback situation would be like if you were allowed to still hit the quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know what it is this year. Is it worse than other years? But no, I agree. I mean, they're trying to protect him at all wills. But man, these guys are dropping like flies. And I know some of them are playing well. Obviously, the Jake Brownings of the world, Flacco's having a rejuvenation. But I don't think anyone that signed up for this season, wants to see all these top name quarterbacks, Rodgers, Burrow, freaking Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, all down. I mean, it's borderline. Like, all right, are we even watching the NFL anymore?
Yeah, like all the backup quarterbacks that could potentially be starting a game in the AFC is crazy. But like back to quarterbacks in the Bills game, after the first couple of possessions, the Bills didn't even need Josh Allen. Like Josh made some Josh Allen plays at the beginning, like running for the first down, making that pump fake to Cook and, getting it. The nice rollout on the second touchdown. But after that, they didn't need Josh. As it didn't matter that his wristband fell off. And I was wondering, too, like, who ended up with that wristband? If they were playing the New England Patriots, like, like the Patriots would have ended up with that wristband.
Well, I'm sure the Cowboys got it. Didn't help them much, though.
No, it did not. That's what I kept wondering, is who got this wristband, when it did come off.
Yeah, it was nice to see Kyle Allen get on the field for a few seconds.
For the last, I think he didn't get in a lot, but I think the last 12 minutes, the Bills had their backups in. They had the defensive backups in, which is huge because the Bills have a short turnaround. They're playing on Saturday. But yeah, things went so well that I don't know if you caught it when like Josh was basically calling a running play behind his back, pointing his finger like, go right.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with Dallas. I mean, that was one of the worst obviously worst and best performances running the ball for the Bills, but I mean, you don't expect a team coming in with that record to just get shredded on the ground like that. And it didn't matter where he ran. I mean, he wasn't getting
Yeah,
touched until 7, 8 yards down the field. It looked
correct.
like on every single play.
Yeah, I think I heard he on average he wasn't touched for 4.5 yards. So
It's
he didn't
crazy.
average 4.5 yards a carry. He wasn't touched for about 4.5,
Yeah.
which is nuts. What's even crazier is Von Miller was involved in a sack.
Yeah, I know that is the craziest stat of the
Yeah.
day. But yeah, I don't know if it, and I think, that's kind of when you look at like home field advantage and things like that in the playoffs, like these things matter, man. These guys play in Dallas on the beautiful turf and perfect conditions, and then you come to Buffalo. I know it wasn't really bad out. Obviously, it wasn't super cold, but there were definitely different parts of the game where it was raining, but these teams don't react well. I mean, we saw the Texans get smoked by the Jets the week before in terrible weather. Now the Bills, absolutely dominated the Dallas in that weather. I don't care.
Yeah.
They were talking about how they were soaking the footballs and practicing and doing all these things. It's like you can't simulate that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, even when you tried, like Kincaid tried using the special rain gloves when he had the drop, and then they
Yeah.
showed him taking the gloves off and going back to the old ones. Yeah, you don't know how you're going to react to that until the game starts. But like back to what you're saying about playoffs and home field advantage, the Bills are more equipped now to take advantage of that. Like last year when they had the home playoff game against Cincinnati, it did not look like a home game. The Bills were sliding all over the snow, and the Bengals seemed to have no problem with the field conditions, considering that Cincinnati's almost in Kentucky. But the way Brady's been running the ball and motioning Cook all over the place. Like he was motioning them when they were going to run. They were running at, I forget his name, that 205-pound linebacker.
Yeah.
Then for the pass, they were using that cheat motion like the Dolphins use with Tyreek Hill to get them a head start on their bigger linebacker, and that's how he got at least one of his touchdowns. So like Brady's really coming through with these running calls. The only thing I'd like to maybe see with him more is getting Diggs, more involved. He was the leading, receiver for what it's worth.
Yeah,
But
he's kind of disappeared in the last few weeks.
yeah. It's almost, I'm wondering if you're going to hear that he has an injury or something. But it doesn't, something's not right. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we haven't really heard anything come out on it. But yeah, him
Mhm.
and Kincaid obviously didn't have to do much. I mean, it was kind of hard. They were running at will. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think there's going to be a lot of games where he's going to throw for under 100 yards in the game.
And win.
Yeah, and not stress about it at all. I mean, that
Yeah.
was the best thing they could do was run the ball, run the clock, because they were just so far ahead in the game anyway.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I don't
nuts.
know. I'd rather be a team, honestly, like Buffalo or these Northeast teams, Cincinnati, even excuse me, Kansas City, who you play in these different conditions, because it seems like these fair weather teams, they really struggle when they got to change conditions. So I don't know. It's they're certainly on a roll right now.
Yeah, they are for sure. Which makes you think, not only playoffs, but you're hearing the MVP race, which is one of the questions I got from Sean in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked, he goes, "What if James Cook continues to lead the Bills? Is he a better MVP candidate than Josh Allen?"
No, no.
Which I said no.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I love caller comments, but no, I mean, I thought you were
Yeah.
going to say Josh Allen or Brock Purdy for an MVP.
Well, see, and I think though, I do not agree with Cook, but I think McCaffrey is a better candidate for MVP than Brock Purdy. But it seems like that's a quarterback award, and like offensive player of the year, maybe a running back or receiver gets that one.
Yeah, no,
why
I
not?
think
Why not McCaffrey? He can get 2,000 yards this year.
Yeah, I think he's got to be in the conversation. I mean, how could he not be?
Mm-hmm. But does that end up splitting the votes, right? What if some voters are voting for Purdy, other voters are voting for McCaffrey? Maybe that leaves the door open for a Josh Allen, or who knows? Maybe Miami runs the table for Tua or someone like that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point of having two guys on the same team could hurt each other in the long run. Yeah, let's look at his. I'm trying to pull up. I mean, Brock Purdy's got 3,795 yards, and what's his touchdowns? 29 touchdowns right now. I mean, the
Yeah,
guy's hit, and I think I don't know what his interceptions are. He's low. Yeah, he doesn't really turn the ball over that much.
no, he doesn't.
He didn't even make the list. So he's
Wow.
under 7. I know that. And then Allen's got 14 picks, but I think he has
He has 28, 29 touchdowns plus all the rushings, though.
26 passing touchdowns plus his rushing touchdowns. Yeah, it's close. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard. Those two guys are certainly right at it. I mean,
now McCaffrey has 1,801 yards from scrimmage. He did have that 6 TD streak.
Even Tyreek Hill. I mean, if he didn't get hurt this past week and missed that game, he was on track for 2,000. There's some pretty huge performances.
For sure. So
I don't know. It's going to be, I don't know. I think who's the favorite right now? Is it Brock Purdy?
I think it's got to be. McCaffrey's got 13 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
Mostert's got 18. I didn't realize he had that many.
Yeah, he just set the Dolphins record against the Jets this past weekend.
McCaffrey has 8 rushing touchdowns for 20 yards or more, and 3 rushing touchdowns for 40 yards or more.
Yeah, and he had 2 receiving touchdowns yesterday alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. There's some crazy performances this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else was crazy was the Deontay Casey hit on Michael Pittman. We're talking about player safety. And did you see the hit?
Yeah, it cost me $355. I had Michael Pittman over 80 yards. He had 78 yards at the time, and over 6 catches. He had 4 catches. And then I watch him, and I just watch him get speared, and I instantly ripped the ticket up in my mind. Obviously, It's on an app now.
Yeah, I was surprised he got suspended for the year.
I don't know, man. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty vicious.
I mean, it wasn't necessary.
No.
Anywhere near necessary of a guy clearly laying out for a ball that you're going to come in spearhead first, regardless of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I think the NFL's making a statement, for player safety.
Well, I've seen a few suspensions where I don't really remember seeing many suspensions in the NFL at all, or ejections from the game just in general.
Yeah, and especially for the season.
Yeah, you don't see that.
I remember they've happened in hockey when a player blatantly slashes someone in the face with their stick or cross checks someone in the face or blindsides them and severely injured them. I think that's happened a couple times. But in football, I can't, and even really any sport, other than the PED violations, I can't think of players being suspended.
Who was that other guy? The guy in the Bengals, was it that Vontaze Burfict? I remember he got a big suspension.
Yeah, on Antonio Brown.
Yeah. So it doesn't happen a ton. But man, that was freaking vicious, dude. I actually, when he got up, I was like, man, this guy really walked off on his own, no problem, which was good to see. And they were considering bringing him back in, but then they took him to the locker room, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a crazy week. A lot of bad games otherwise, really.
A lot of bad games and a lot of blown opportunities, right? Cincy very easily could have lost.
Yeah.
Indianapolis easily could have lost, and so could Houston.
Houston pulling it out.
Yeah.
With Case Keenum, your guy's old guy.
Yeah, Devin Singletary with a big play. I mean, heck, even for the Browns, when they were winning, for the Bears, when they were winning, you had the pick 6 from Tremaine Edmonds. I could never remember him making a splash play like that for the Bills. So I'm like, oh, this is fitting. He's making a big splash play to help the Bills that he never could make when he was on our team. What a nice gift. And speaking of gifts for the Bills, we got one here for Bills fans. It's an autographed John Cena photograph. It says, never give up. So I guess that's for maybe all the Bills fans that weren't giving up. Or is this a dig at McDermott? Is this even with the wins, people still want to give it to McDermott? Because McDermott was a state champion wrestler And
Yeah.
are they maybe saying that McDermott should maybe coach wrestling instead of football?
Yeah, I was going to say, this win does not honestly take the McDermott heat off. It helps him. But in my mind, we got to wait and see. I mean, this team was not expected to be 2 games over 500 team. So, they still have to do some damage, get in the playoffs for McDermott to feel completely safe. I think it's a great win. I think it's more, for Brady to put a feather in his cap of showing, how he's been able to adapt to the game and, go with what's working, not just rely on Josh Allen. Obviously, you saw early, could run the ball down their throat, didn't make changes, stuck with it, did what it takes. And obviously, the defense played a great game, but, McDermott didn't have to make any of those tough decisions in this game. So it's kind of it's easy game on the sidelines for him.
Yeah, I think the game plan was good.
Yeah.
But that's never been the problem with McDermott. McDermott's problem is the in-game coaching. I think the only, I guess, quote-unquote, maybe smart thing that they did was rushing to the line of scrimmage on the Diggs fumble before it could be challenged. Because that was a fumble.
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely horrendous on Dallas when everything in the world is challenged these days, that you're not even challenging it or your players aren't getting up screaming, I punched the ball out. Challenge this thing? Yeah, that was horrible. It's not like the Bills are on the ball in like 2 seconds. They had time to challenge that.
Yeah, they hurried, but not.
Yeah,
but there was time. I was waiting for them to do that.
I didn't think it was a fumble live until I obviously saw the replay. But you would think the players involved would know that I knocked the ball out. That's the thing. Usually they're screaming for a challenge flag, even when it's not a catch or things like that. But yeah, I mean, speaking of coaching, man, Robert Saleh, he is now extremely on the hot seat right now. And I truly think if Aaron Rodgers wasn't in the equation, like the Jets would be cleaning house. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, probably not, but you should go back and watch Garrett Wilson's post-game interview.
Okay.
And so they were talking basically to him about they're like, hey, so, we saw you didn't get a target until the third quarter. His answer before he could finish, he's like, I'm aware of that. And you never hear guys cutting players off. And then they asked another question about how the Dolphins do such an amazing job of scheming Tyreek Hill open and moving him around. And he was basically like, yeah, I'm aware of that situation as well, too. He's basically like, we have no creativity. He's a very competitive person. So I think they take some of that sideline antics and, blow it a little bit out of proportion. I think he's just a passionate player, but you could certainly tell that these guys are completely fed up. They even asked Sauce Gardner. They go, hey, or they decided to let him know. His first question was, hey, you guys are eliminated from the playoffs. And he's like, yeah, that's, what are you going to do? That stinks, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 questions later, and the guy goes, yeah, can we get your reaction on being eliminated from the playoffs? And he was just like, you just got my reaction. He asked it 2 questions ago. Like, what do you want? So you couldn't tell these guys are they're mentally, they're losing it right now.
They checked out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter also who the quarterback is. I mean, you can even argue that, at least from what I've seen, that Zach Wilson has looked the best out of all these guys that they've tried to put in.
Yeah, he definitely has. I mean, there's no way you can blame the quarterback on that one. I mean, my son and I were watching the game, and we were absolutely dying laughing, dude. It was literally just like the floodgates were opened up on every single pass attempt. He went back and he was running for his life. Obviously, almost got killed by Chubb on the first one with the sack fumble. So yeah, I don't blame Zach Wilson. I wouldn't want to play either behind this insane line, but I just more along the lines of Saleh, I think, is completely losing the locker room, and if not, because then he came in, they interviewed him today, and they're talking about hey, are you concerned about your job? And he's like, there's 2 kinds of coaches in this world, ones that have been fired and ones that are about to be fired. I only worry about the next game. I don't worry about any of that stuff. But then he came in and saying the same nonsense, we did a couple good things. It's like, dude, no, we played absolute dog shit. We lost 30-0, dude. It's okay to go in there after the game and be like, we got our asses kicked like there's a lot of things that need to change around here. But no, he's like Mr. Steady Eddie. Like I never would have expected that coming off the San Francisco sidelines, that this is the guy he is.
Yeah, from what I saw of the game on Sunday, yeah, they couldn't protect the quarterback and couldn't really get a running game going. It seems like when the Jets would have been able to get Breece Hall going, that they could stay in the game. But
yeah, they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do. I mean, we had 5 yards at halftime. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we need a little passion, or we're going to lose these guys. But that's the thing is, like, what do you do now? Like, we have Aaron Rodgers, who he better not play this year. He'll probably die back there. Potentially next year, but is starting to think, like, is it worth it? Him handcuffing the entire team. The coaching staff has to stay. He controls the roster. Everybody he's brought in has been absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
I don't think you have a choice at this point but to roll with Rodgers. But but it's like you want to bring a competent quarterback in there in case he gets hurt. But how is Aaron Rodgers going to react to that?
No, they're definitely. I think he'll be fine with that. I mean, he knows he's going to be 41. They're definitely going to be drafting a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking a veteran. So, like, let's say Rodgers gets hurt next year or something happens next year with that defense and a competent quarterback, the Jets are easily the Browns or the Steelers, right?
Yep. Yeah, so look at that. That's a great point. It's like the Jets are literally making every excuse that they lost Aaron Rodgers. This is why they're not competitive, and we got a hurt line. Well, it's like, dude, the Bengals are succeeding with Jake Browning, hurt linemen. The Browns are succeeding with Joe Flacco. They lost Nick Chubb. They lost a couple of their linemen throughout the season. It's like, dude, maybe that our coaching and our development sucks. And like, that's why we lose one player and our whole season is gone. Like that didn't happen to every other team.
Yeah. I would have said other years that would be understandable. The other years where it seems like you need to score all these points to win, but the NFL is different this year. The ideas where these elite quarterbacks just can't be stopped is just not the case anymore for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
It's kind of came back to where you should run the ball to control the clock and things like that, the so-called boomer football to a certain extent that I don't like, but it seems to be working now. So,
well, the other guy, look at the Jacoby Brissett. They brought him in at the end of the Washington game, and he led him down to 2 touchdowns. He was available. Like the Jets did absolutely nothing to address the concern of like, if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, what do we do? And now we're living with the consequences. I don't know. They got a lot of interesting decisions to make. Yeah. They got Mekhi Becton, who they probably won't re-sign. He looked like a fire drill throughout the game. I guess he's given up 10 sacks this year, which is insane from a left tackle. And then Tomlinson, who was also brought in. It's some of the players. The only guy that's really worked out has been DJ Reed coming over, but some of the other ones, Lazard, Cobb, all these other guys have just been an absolute disaster. So, and DJ Reed was even like, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's really hard to play when there's nothing on the line. We'll see. We got to be professionals, all this. I'm going to play hard, but I'm interested to see. We might get blown out by about 1,000 these next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, maybe Santa's got something that could help here for the Jets.
They're getting Christmas presents?
They are.
Wow.
It was for the Jets this week. It's the 2024 calendar. Oh, it must be because the Jets got to look forward to next year.
Yeah. I would say
it's next year.
It's going to be a long off season because all the hype is gone.
Yeah, it's just how quickly things could change. It's so humbling. And it's the same thing for the Bills, right? Bills lose. A lot of people are saying they can go 10-7. I don't think so. I think they got to win out. I mean, is there a scenario where they're 10-7 and get in? Yes, but you need so much help for that to happen. And what we saw this weekend with Cincinnati, Indy, and Houston all winning, you can't count on getting that help. So we look forward to this week's coming schedule. So Saturday,
you instantly become a Cowboys fan this week.
Indeed. Saturday, 4:30. You got Steelers and Bengals. You want the Steelers to beat the Bengals. Then if the Bills win, they're in.
Yep.
You have Browns at Texans Sunday at 1. You want the Browns to beat the Texans. They wouldn't put you in, but you'd be ahead, I think, of them. So you need those two things to happen to get in. Excuse me. So if those two things happen, the Bills would be in. And then you want the Cowboys to beat the Dolphins. So if the Dolphins lose one game and the Bills beat them and win out, they'd win the division.
I know, yeah, it's crazy.
They need the Dolphins to lose two games, really to lose out to win the division, which is possible. The Dolphins have Dallas, Baltimore, and then Buffalo, and I know the Dolphins have struggled to beat winning teams, but I don't think they're like a bad team. I don't think they're like the Vikings of last year.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills are somewhat the favorite to win the division now.
Yeah,
they're
a 13 and a half point favorite against the Chargers on the road.
Yeah, but I got to imagine Miami's losing to either Dallas or Baltimore, one of
Correct.
the two.
Yeah,
So the Bills are going to be playing in Miami though, right?
Yes.
For the final game of the year, which typically, they actually don't play that great in Miami. So yeah, that'll be an interesting game, but I would bet the Bills would be close to being favored if they win out.
But don't look past the Chargers. This is your classic trap game.
Oh,
You're
God.
coming off that dominant game against Dallas, and then you have the Jeff Saturday effect, right?
Yeah, but you don't deserve to win the division if they lose to the Chargers.
I agree with you, especially with the backup quarterback. If Herbert was in there, because they do have all the talent. Like, it's amazing how the Chargers are not good. They haven't been good because they have such a stacked roster.
I know. Yeah, that could be.
With the
that
backup,
could be one guy that would be nice. Maybe Herbert wants to get out of town.
Yeah,
he'd look good in green and white.
Oh, yeah, maybe for you.
Yeah, I wonder what will happen with that guy.
Although it is fun when teams in the division are good, because like these Bills-Dolphins matchups, Allen Tua could maybe end up. It's certainly not there right now. It could end up being Kelly Marino. But you'd need a few more years of relevant matches for the division and stuff to say that.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be I don't know. It'll be an interesting last few weeks of the season. I mean, the Bills have put themselves in a prime spot to do some damage. I already got some nice cash out options on my future bets.
Do you?
Oh yeah, I could cash out right now for I don't even know $600-700. But I mean, we got to let them ride a little bit.
Yeah, especially with the way they're playing.
Oh yeah, I mean, if they just make it in the playoffs, I'll probably get a few $1,000 cash out offer. I think they're down to 12-1 to win the Super Bowl. They were
50-1.
50.
Crazy.
I know. I'm the only one that had any faith in them. Not even Vegas. Not even Vegas had faith.
Yeah, and Vegas loves the Bills.
I just thought it was the perfect timing.
It was a good thing. They were probably statistically the best 6-6 team ever. It was a wise bet on your point.
I usually the house. It.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, man.
I know. It'll be an interesting decision to have to make because I would probably cash out my bet and root against the Bills in the Super Bowl.
If they make the Super Bowl, just take what you can get.
Or hedge it and just bet the other way.
You could do that. Because here's the thing, though. If you cash out and the Bills win, you lose twice because you lose money and then the Bills are hoisting the Lombardi. At least if the Bills hoist the Lombardi, you could get the financial reward.
That's true. Yeah.
It's going to be a tough decision.
It will be a tough decision. I hope I have that decision. Yeah, just to win the AFC was 40-1. There's not a lot of hope in Buffalo.
No.
I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I guess a last note off of like the NFL with Syracuse bringing in Fran Brown from the Georgia coaching staff. I mean, they're making some moves, just getting the Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord to commit to play for Syracuse. I mean, that's a massive move. I mean, we might have some real football coming to upstate New York in college.
Yeah, he's a big recruiter. So that's what matters, right? And all you need is to get a little bit of a buzz going.
I mean, it's been years since. I mean, I don't think he was a 5-star, but I know there are some 5-star guys looking at Syracuse, and landing a guy that literally just played on an undefeated Ohio State team. I know they. I mean, I think they had almost like half their team enter the transfer portal. You never expect them to go to Syracuse, but I guess he's from New Jersey, so
Okay.
not completely crazy that he winds up there. But I don't know. Be interesting to see. I'll definitely be heading to a game next year, seeing a capable quarterback. And then the other Syracuse legend didn't have such a great week. Tommy Cutlets
No.
for the Giants. So, dude, that was kind of scary too. I don't know if you saw any of that game, but the Saints, like the whole, hey, like
Yeah.
the other teams have had enough of that. Like they were. I mean, he got knocked out on a penalty. He got hit hard on another one out of bounds. Like that's the problem, man, with this stuff. It's not college, dude. It's like the Johnny Manziel effect, dude. You puts a target on your back, dude. These guys are professionals, grown men that aren't going to let you, make all these jokes around them. But
Yeah, they don't like that.
I love the story, but I was like, man, we saw a team that took it personal this past week. Of like they didn't want to be a joke. Every sack they were getting, they were throwing up the hey. It was kind.
Is that appropriate?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it? You could do that to the Italians?
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't.
Okay.
It's not anything bad.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just funny to watch. It's like be careful what you ask for because you got the target directly on your back. And
I was just wondering how culturally insensitive it was of the Saints players to do that to people of Italian heritage.
Yeah, no, I think that is joking. I don't think there's anything serious. We don't want to turn it into the no fun league.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have some fun with it.
Throwing that out there to the universe.
I mean, everyone was doing the Manziel, when he was doing it. So, yeah, you want to have your own slogan or your own little gestures and taglines, then you got to deal with it. But
at the end of the day, he's a backup quarterback that still lives with his mother.
I know. Yeah, and he had a great few-week run.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, honestly, he'll probably wind up being a backup on another team where he probably wouldn't have been. But he got this opportunity to show people he can actually play a little bit.
Which is a great job.
Yeah.
The backup quarterback. Look at the career he brought up Joe Flacco. Look at the career Joe Flacco and the millions that he's made because of that one Super Bowl for all intents and purposes.
Oh, there's so many of them. You got Chase Daniel. Like there's like so many guys that are just career backups, making
Nathan Peterman stuck around for a long time.
Yeah,
making the worst quarterback I've ever seen.
I mean, the Jets threw Trevor Siemian out there. True. So yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, it's an exciting week. Saturday night, we'll see what happens. Jet season's over, but we'll still watch and support the team. Maybe we get a couple laughs out of it, or maybe we get a surprising win. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You got anything else? This might be a short episode tonight.
I don't. Well, that's the thing. That's the weird thing. And I was thinking this when I was listening to the Bill talk about the Bills on the radio. When things go well for the Bills, it's not as fun to talk about. It's just the weird thing. It's more fun to talk about when things don't go right.
Yeah, there's a lot more controversy. This was
But even the gloating.
We handled our business.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and gloat, for too long. I'll acknowledge some things, but I can't. I'm not going to sit here for 45 minutes and gloat about, what a great game the Bills had against, the Dallas Cowboys teams that never seem to be able to live up to their expectations.
Yeah, that's kind of because that's the Bills too, though.
Lately,
this is like the pot calling the kettle black game. They should have called it.
Lately, but for years. So for the Cowboys, that's every year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
For the Bills, this has been the past 4 years with Josh Allen.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
Maybe even 3. Maybe after 2020 is when the Bills started getting the hype.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think with Dallas this year, it just keep brewing and brewing. And you got, Dak Prescott, same thing. He's getting all his little taglines in for here we go, and all his little cadences and everything. And then this happens and the world is ending and they're back to being them boys. So we'll see what
Love
happens.
it.
You're fans of them this week, so we'll see if they can help you guys out.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
All right, man.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Rival Sports Pod. Please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also email us at rivalsportspod@gmail.com with any topics, ideas, or questions.